joining us. This was a great event today. Tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Kevin Park, and I'm a council member for the city of Santa Clara. This is our wonderful city, so welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, and thank you to Diane and the Chamber and everybody for hosting this event.
Oh no, they do a great job every single year, and you see all the work they've done, and you also see the work they have ahead of them. So it's a really
I'm the year of the snake, 1965. So this is my year. Yeah, this is one of my years, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm going to stand a little bit further back now. I know that.
No, so I tried to wear. Didn't have anything sneaky, but boots.
Well, you got kind of this boa thing going.
Yeah. So there we go. So we're here today. Chinese New Year's. I grew up in the Bay Area. I love the Bay Area, and they can probably edit this after. I grew up in a family of funeral directors. My grandfather was the first Portuguese funeral director in the state of California.
Understood.
The house I currently live in was my mother's childhood home. So we're Portuguese and Irish on that side, and a bunch American Mutt on the other side. So we're all from different places, right? There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. The Asian American Stories is great. That was started last year. I think there was 1,500 applicants to it, 20 winners. That's happening again. So this little clip is going to be integrated into their promotion for that, I guess is what it is. And so the question that we just discussed talking about is the challenges for Asian Americans, and I got to hold this up, the challenges for Asian Americans in the U.S. right now and what's going on. There's a lot of challenges for a lot of people, but how is the city of Santa Clara, how are you guys supporting, what programs are you doing, how are you going to help the video program that's, they're going to be doing? Tell us that.
So it's interesting, but today's situation is very different from what it was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, we didn't have
even 8 years ago.
Or even 8 years ago, if you think about it. 8 years ago seems so long ago.
Yeah.
If I think. But one of the issues is that we had was we didn't have a lot of numbers. We were always a minority. Today, we actually have enough numbers that when we talk about Asian majorities or Asian even minority communities, we talk about specific communities. In the past, we used to aggregate when we wanted numbers, so it didn't matter if you were Chinese, Cantonese, mainland Chinese, if you were Japanese, if you were Korean, Cambodian. It didn't matter, you were Asian. Today, we are fortunate enough to have a large Asian community to the point where we can actually disaggregate. We can actually talk about the Cambodian societies, about Vietnamese societies, about the Korean communities. And I think that's a really good thing, but it's also a danger. It's a danger in that we can't get too comfortable with the fact that we're settled. Like, we still have to know when to come together as an Asian community, as with similar cultural backgrounds, supporting the same things, because we are not.
I don't want history to repeat itself.
Exactly. And what we see with the current administration, with some of the policies, some of the things that are coming out, things can change very quickly. And if we get too comfortable working with ourselves and we don't remember what it's like to have to work together, to have to push, to have to row in the same direction, these are my biggest concerns for the community, which is we are supportive of everyone, but we want everyone to know when push comes to shove, we need to be supportive of the larger communities.
So telling the stories are very important. A couple weekends ago, Santa Clara County had for teachers or anybody that was interested, the history of Cambodia and genocide. I didn't get to go because I was sick that weekend, but I signed up for it because it's an interesting topic. It's happening again in LA. I might fly down to it there in the summer if I can do it. But, we don't want history to repeat itself. And we're America. We're supposed to be, here working hard for the American dream. In my book, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, as long as you're treating people equally. At the end of the day, when we're 5 feet underground, 6 foot underground, if you treat people good and kind, that's a good thing. And to love and not hate. So these stories are important, and how people are treated and how things are maybe not fairly being treated now. And it brings me to the economy and what's happening. And there's some programs that may go away that we may have to worry about. How's Santa Clara prepared to deal with that? Is there a fund that you're going to be able to pull bootstrap from if some federal funding goes away? I guess that was the second question then.
Well, I'm going to say I think a lot of jurisdictions are thinking about this. So what happens when funding gets pulled? We're having priority setting coming up very shortly, so that we can talk about this. But even in the last council meeting, even in discussions with other cities, other council members, even at this event, we talk about what are we going to do when some things,
hopefully it doesn't.
When the things that we consider come to pass, right? We have to be prepared for what we expect. Here, what we've done is we've had a large we've always had a lot of support for Silicon Valley Central Chamber, for example, even before it became the Silicon Valley Central Chamber. And I believe that supporting the people, supporting the local businesses, that will actually give, their children will grow up and work for larger corporations. But I think that it's the smaller businesses, it's actually the minority businesses, the individual entrepreneurs that are the lifeblood of a city. We talk about large corporations, but large corporations are why people want to visit those large corporations and use their products. But it's the small businesses, it's the restaurants, it's the small stores, it's the tailors, it's the other people that provide the services. That's the reason why people want to come to your city. And I think that having a very vibrant places, not just one place, but vibrant places where people want to go, spend their money, spend their time, this is very important for the city, right? And as long as we can encourage that, we can build the entrepreneurs that are here, the future entrepreneurs that I see sitting at that table eating, these are the kinds of things that we need to really focus on so that we're not too reliant on simply big business taxes.
Well, and I think I'm remembering back in the smaller scope of the economics in Silicon Valley, there used to be like the redevelopment fund, and then I think it was when Schwarzenegger came in, he got rid of that. Basically, the state of California robbed the fund. So any programs that were already started for low-income housing and housing to subsidize for firefighters, for police, for teachers, if it was started, they worked on the project. But any money that was there that wasn't earmarked got pulled, and things had to shift. So it seems like in a larger scale, on the federal scale, that might happen. Hopefully, it doesn't. Hopefully, we find out it's unconstitutional for them to get rid of our schools and different things that they're talking about. But it'll be interesting to see how the different cities and county things come together to shift, right? Is it 7 counties or 9 counties in the Bay Area?
I actually don't know.
It's 7 or 9, I don't know, anyway.
But I actually want to talk about RDA. I remember I was in city council as a resident during the time that we had RDA and during the time that RDA funding was pulled, and the time that we had to convert our RDA, our agencies, to a successor agency. And one of the things I'll say is, it's true, the state did take away a lot of our monies.
And that was just the state level, that wasn't,
Yeah, but it's also true that a lot of the projects that we could have started, a lot of the stuff that we could have done, didn't happen during that time. I think that in our city in particular, we started the Northside Library because RDA funding got cut. But I mean, I had been talking about having a Northside Library for years, even before then. I think it's important. It's important during the times where funding could get cut, but it's important during years where funding is still there that we actually focus on getting something done. Like, we can't just keep pushing things off. And one of the reasons that we lost so much money is because we had so many projects that we sat on, we did not actually push, again, like the Northside Library.
If the ground was broken, then the project was going forward, but if it wasn't...
And I think that's the thing that we have to remember, which is just because it's in our pocket doesn't mean it's always going to be there.
Right. It's like coming to mind that I'm the first woman on the board of Western Automotive Journalists. So I get to test drive cars. I've driven Laguna Seca like 6 times. They bring cars to my house. And then Western Automotive Journalists used to do a drive event partially at Laguna Seca, but now they've shifted. And last year we did Santa Cruz. We got to test drive a bunch of cars with the manufacturers right before the harbor fell. And I remember following the story about the harbor, how and I posted this online, and someone was like, that's not true, right? The whole, people that troll you. And I'd been following that there was supposed to be $1 million survey to figure out how to repair the wharf. But there was so much fighting between the city and the people that it didn't happen. They started some work. I don't know what they ended up spending on surveying it, but part of the wharf fell. So it's one of those things that's like, do you move forward or do you just not move forward and then things crumble? So it's kind of a good analogy, but so we'll see what happens. Hopefully things don't change that much. Hopefully we don't have to scramble for healthcare and other services. And
Agreed. And the things that you believe in, the things that you know should exist, you should action now. Like you said, you can't take things for granted. I can tell you a personal story.
I have to bow down to you because I could never do what you do. Like, I couldn't teach and I couldn't be a politician because I always put my foot in my mouth and say, tomboy me that grew up in Saratoga, 4th engagement, first marriage, I'm like the runaway bride. I say what's on my mind. And if I was a politician, I'd probably get shot, right? I would not be political about it. So I bow down to people like you that are doing this.
You may have to edit this later, but I tend to say what's on my mind.
You'll have to edit it.
You'll have to. You do. Don't do me dirty.
I'm grateful for folks like you who are doing the right thing for folks.
And I think that's the thing, which is politicians. I'm an engineer. I'm a scientist. I didn't go into politics because I wanted to be a politician. It's because I wanted to complain, and the fact.
To do the right thing.
Well, I wanted to complain. I wanted somebody else to do the right thing. I just wanted to complain about it. But when I actually got elected, it was probably the most disruptive thing in my entire life. But what I will say is, we have to remember that you can't think about re-elections. You can't think about elections. Like, no one's going to re-elect you if you haven't done a good job the first term.
Right.
And I think that what we should focus on is.
That's not so true, is it?
That's not so true. That's true.
It's shocking who's in office right now, but I'm sorry. Let's cut that too.
Yeah. I have a news blackout because every time I look at the news, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have a headache that takes me out for the rest of the day. So, just so you know, I would undo my re-election if I could change something at the federal level. But don't ever tell people this. Okay.
Yes, that has to be cut.
Okay. But what I do want to say something about. So you have to focus on the work ahead of you as an engineer, as a scientist, which is if you don't know the things that you're doing, if you don't know the things that
producer, right, that's produced 211 TV shows.
And you do very well at that.
And 10 in the pipeline, right? And that's always, like how do you keep producing those things? And this is amazing what she's doing. I think it's an amazing program, and it needs to be done. So.
No, agreed. And the fact that you're doing this kind of work too is I could never do what you do. So I think we need to work together.
Oh, okay, that's good. Let's do that. Promise to do that.
Yes. But the last thing I'll say is,
yeah.
No, you keep that in. Yeah. That stays in.
Okay.
So, I remember in the early 2000s, my father was visited by one of his friends from Japan, and they told him that they had just been to New Orleans, and what a wonderful place it was, and that we should go. And my father said we should go. We'd like to go this summer. And I said no. Let's go next year. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And the worst part was then they got hit by Katrina. And we never got to go. Like, we never had a time to go after that. So it didn't pass on so much later, but it took a long time before New Orleans got to the state where my father said, I think it's probably something we'd like to do again. And now I've decided I just embrace it, which is if it's important to me. They have this thing where they say, is it important? Is it urgent? Is it? And I think anything that's important will become urgent, so just do it. Like, if you don't know what to do and there's nothing that's important or urgent, do the important things. Focus on the important things. Thank you.
Perfect. Do you want to leave the audience with anything else or say anything else about the video contest?
No, I want to say, join the video contest. I think that everyone has their own story. It's unique. A lot of people don't understand how important their own stories are because it's their story. They think, why would anyone want to hear the story? But your story is unique. Nobody has heard your story, and nobody tells your story better than you do.
And it's really easy. All you have to do is go to this little QR code. I don't know if you can see it. You just go there and you submit a 1-minute video. You can do it on your phone with your story, and that's all they're looking for. 1 minute, could be a little bit longer, but this is where you submit. Pretty easy. It has to be submitted by May 15th.
March 15th.
March 15th. It's May 1st is the date of the May 1st is the date of the event. March 15th is the deadline. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, thank you very much. You've been more than kind. Thank you for staying.